Greetings viewers, welcome to another show of Women of Faith. As always, I have beautiful ladies with me in the studio. Today we are talking about single parenting. I'm going to be talking to two beautiful ladies. The one lady had a baby at a young age, and she's going to be talking to us about the challenges, what she went through, and how it's like to raise a child as a single parent. And the other lady was obviously married, and she is now a single parent, having to raise two kids and the challenges that she comes across. She's going to be talking to us about that. So let's enjoy. Ladies, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, Jamina, single parenting, my dear.
Yes.
Two kids.
3 kids actually.
3?
Yes. And
Okay.
also had the first when I was 17. I was still young.
You are still young?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So how old are they?
The first one, she's 22, and the second one is 13, and the last one, which is a son, a boy, he's 9, he'll be 10 in December.
Okay, all right.
I was 16 when I fell pregnant, staying with my mom. It was quite a challenge. I fell pregnant around when I was doing my grade 10 exams, going to grade 11. And my mother knew that I was pregnant all along. The following year, she enrolled me back to school. I went to school.
Okay.
Just around March, then she told me that something is not right. And
You had not told her?
I hadn't told her.
You were aware though?
I was away. I was when I missed my period for 4 months already. But I was very scared because my mother is like very strict. I gave birth and I was married.
Okay.
Yes, things didn't work out. We tried, but they didn't work out. Then that's when I moved to Nelspruit.
Okay.
That's where I met the father of my 2 other kids.
Okay.
Yes, we were engaged to be married. It never happened, and we had problems. But because we come from different culture and race, we thought that we'll manage. But I think it was too much for both of us.
All right, Charity. How old were you?
When I fell pregnant, I was 18, turning 19. I was doing matric. And I found out when I was about to write my final exam that I was pregnant. And it was very strange because first 3 months I did not know.
Okay.
I missed my first period. I told my mom, and my mom said, when it's season changing, your body normally goes through changes, and you'd find that you do miss a period. And I think she was speaking confident because of the person that I was.
She knew you to be.
I'm an introvert, and I'm always at home, and I'm the good girl.
Sing in the church choir.
I sing in the church choir, and I go to church, and I'm scripture based. And at that time, I used to speak things that made the bishops sit up and take note of what I'm saying. So for her, I think it was the last thing on her mind. For me as well, it was the last thing on my mind because I was at that point, I'm not having sexual intercourse with this person. So I cannot be pregnant. NgesiZulu sinokuthi siyadlalisana mos nedu uyabeka kanifani. Yes. And when I had found out that I'm pregnant, I eventually I closed up. I stopped going to church because I was afraid with bazalwane, like what are they going to say? It was painful, and the only person who actually made me realize what happened was my mom Fundisi at the time, who's now Mom Bishop. She came to my house and she said to me, when she came in, she cried, and she cried, and she says to me, "Girl, what happened?" I kept quiet, and she asked me for a second time. She said to me, "What happened? Did you guys have sexual intercourse? Where were you? Were you outside? Were you inside? Were you standing? Were you laying?" And then actually now she's starting to boggle my mind. Yes, because I had been beating myself up, but I didn't sleep with this guy. I didn't sleep with this guy. How can I be pregnant? And Mom Bishop looks at me in the eye and she says to me, "One thing that you girls don't know is that you don't have to have sexual intercourse with a guy to fall pregnant." Immediately when he gets excited and he gets excited around the area, the sperms automatically, they make their way to the ovary, and it only takes one sperm to fertilize the egg. And that's when it dawned to me, could say, "Oh, okay,
this is
how it happened."
At what point did you finally accept Uvuvu?
I accept my son when I saw him laying next to the little bed
In hospital?
after I gave birth, and I
Mm.
turned around and I looked at him. And funny enough, I think Mando and Amabakata, they just lay there, but he was like saying, wow, I mean, I'm finally in the world, I've arrived. And I was fascinated by the little hands and the little feet.
Mm.
I was like, God, forgive me for not accepting this child while he was still in me.
Mm. Mm.
But help me to raise him according to your standards and according to your ways.
Mm. Okay. Jemina, you indicated that there was marriage and then there was an engagement.
Yes.
So you always had, in the beginning, there was that support.
Yes.
There was that support.
It's from my mother and from the father of the child.
Yes.
From my husband.
And obviously with your fiance, because you were living together, also the support was there, you know,
Yes.
in raising the kids.
Yes.
And when you finally decided that we're calling it quits, now it was all you
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
The adjustment?
It was very difficult, you know, because you tend to be a mother and the father, and you also have to work,
Mm.
and you know, working more than 8 hours wherever one's working.
Mm.
It was very difficult.
Mhm.
Well, I had a helper at some point, but you know, they come, they do the household chores, then they leave.
Mhm.
Come back home, have to help with the homeworks,
Mhm.
and you can imagine the first one, she was a teenager then when I separated from Lorenz. His name is Lorenz. So it was honestly, it was very difficult. I couldn't cope. To an extent that I thought of maybe mending things again, and maybe I'll fall in love again.
Mhm.
But eventually I said no. Everything happens for a reason.
Mm.
I believe that God will forgive me for falling out of love,
Mm.
but it's for the good cause.
Mm. Mm.
It also
Helps.
makes one to be strong.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Charity, with you, I know that your the family on the side of your Uvuvu very supportive when it comes to him. Are you still together?
No, we have since gone our separate ways with the father.
And how is that?
I try to not put my son in the middle of things, because one thing us women can do is now we're fighting with the child when you and the father are no longer together. So one thing I say to myself, whenever whenever they request to see him, I make it a point that I go and drop him. I make it a point that I go and fetch him. We have gone our separate ways because of things that happened, and because we could not stay together anymore. To me, it's still a question that I ask myself, that how am I going to break this to him? It's one of those big challenges.
Support, mommy?
I've got support from my family, my mother. I'm staying with my mother, so it's me, my mom, and my son. She is the one who breaks up the fights, because we fight like brother and sister. And then she'd be like, no, man, he's still a child. And I think because because of his thinking capacity and the way that he analyzes things, I sometimes forget his own mind.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Yes, his brain is so huge. I sometimes take him for a 13, 14-year-old, and I expect him to understand things that he really doesn't understand.
Yes.
And there is no book that takes you through, there's no manual that takes you through mommyhood. And especially when you fall pregnant at such an early age, you are being pressured. Now you have to grow up. Now, yes, there's no longer time for doing things that you want to do. There's now this person who needs your attention 24/7.
So, lady, Jemina, tell us about dating. You know, in terms of have you introduced somebody to the kids, and how did they take it?
After separated, yes, I dated, but never introduced. It's only 3 years ago when I met a wonderful man who has 2 kids. 3 kids rather, 2 girls and 1 boy, same as me. Then I introduced him to them only last year, and they welcomed him well, because he's very good with them. Yeah, to an extent that, you know, they are more sometimes closer to him than me, who's whenever I'm not with him, they'll ask, "Mommy, where is he?" That kind of a thing. He's very supportive, honestly.
Okay.
He's a source of my strength. Yes.
Okay. Charity, what would you say as word of advice to somebody that is a single parent and they are young? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, what I did is I condemned myself. I would say, do not condemn yourself. It eats up a lot of your time that can never be regained. I love what I went through. It was painful, yes, but today it's my testimony.
It's your testimony.
So to that girl, this is your testimony, girl. Go out there and do it for your child.
Okay. And I know that you also found your way back to God.
I did.
You did.
I did. And I am so in love with this Jesus of mine. I can't explain it.
I know. Thank you so much, Jamina. Word of advice?
It will be almost like Charity that I believe that everything happens for a reason. You know, sometimes God protects us from other things to give us a right way. Having a kid while you're young, I'm not encouraging it, but wait for the right moment. But if it happens, rather than doing other things, just let the child be born and give them guidance. And then if you're still at school, continue with your studies. You know, you don't know, maybe you're raising a president one day, something, you know. So you continue with what you want to be, a better person. Because that's what I believe, that if something happens, it happens for a reason, for us to learn from it and then become better people. Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies. We are out of time, but it has been a great pleasure having you here, sharing your stories and encouraging ladies. I believe that somebody will watch this and somebody will be encouraged because of the experiences that you ladies went through. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You listen to Jamina's story, that today they still relate well with the father of the child. They did not allow the kids to be caught up in between. Same thing applies with Charity. She told us that she allows the child, she even drops the child so that the child is not affected by the separation between the two parents. So if you are a single parent and you are struggling with such issues, word of advice is, do not let your child suffer because of what you have as issues of bitterness or what in terms of the relationship, but allow the child to experience the love of both parents even though they are no longer together. And support system, find yourself a support system. Have sisters, have mothers that will support you. It may not be your own mother, but there are mothers out there that can support you and encourage you. Learn from other ladies that have gone through that, because it is possible. You can raise up great men and women of strength that will grow up to be great people because of the love and the support that you have given to your children. Until next time, stay blessed.